You ever get that feeling? A feeling that's been building across an entire generation, this righteous anger? It's the feeling that you did everything you were told to do. You followed the rules, you checked all the boxes, only to realize the game itself was rigged from the start.
I mean, this quote it nails it, doesn't it? It gets right to the heart of this profound sense of betrayal. It's about a promise that was made and then just broken. And that feeling, right there, is the foundation for everything we're about to unpack.
So, where does this feeling of betrayal actually come from? Look, it's not about being entitled. It's about this massive, glaring disconnect between the work that was put in and the reward that was supposed to be waiting at the end.
And that's exactly it. This just pushes back so hard against all those lazy stereotypes. This isn't about a lack of motivation or a bad work ethic. It's about hitting a breaking point. It's a collective exhaustion from running a race where somebody keeps moving the finish line.
This was the playbook we were all handed, right? The supposed 5-step plan for a successful life. Go to school, even if it means taking on crippling debt. Take that unpaid internship because it's good experience. Start at the bottom and pay your dues. We were all told this was the one guaranteed investment in our future.
But here's the thing. While an entire generation was busy paying those dues, the deal changed. The contract was rewritten behind the scenes, and nobody bothered to send out the men.
So, what was the number one promise? Stability. A steady job, a life you could actually plan. But the reality? Constant volatility. Endless corporate takeovers, downsizing, restructuring. The solid ground we were promised turned out to be complete quicksand.
And that promise of a career, of climbing a ladder and building something, that's been replaced by the reality of just a survival strategy. For so many people, work isn't about building a dream anymore. It's about scraping by until the next rent check is due.
The internship itself is a perfect symptom of this whole mess. I mean, what used to be simple on-the-job training somehow morphed into this mandatory, often unpaid, barrier to entry. It basically became a way for companies to get free labor, and it completely changed how careers even begin.
And this is the feeling it all leads to. The feeling that you followed all the rules, you finally showed up, only to find out that the opportunity was already gone. The game was over before you were even allowed to step on the field.
Now, this feeling of instability is only made worse by another huge shift in our world, the move away from owning things to, renting everything. And I'm not just talking about our apartments, I mean almost every part of our lives.
Think about it. We subscribe to our music, our movies, our software. We're pretty much locked out of ever owning a home, so we rent indefinitely. But the most critical thing? We don't even own our own time. We rent that out too, 1 hour at a time.
And that just raises this huge, fundamental question, right? If you're constantly renting out your life, your time, your energy, to build someone else's dream, when do you ever get to build your own? That's the trade-off that defines the modern world for millions of people.
So this constant hustle, this relentless feeling of being on a treadmill that never stops, it all leads to one defining state: absolute exhaustion. But it is so important that we understand where that exhaustion really comes from.
And this distinction right here is absolutely crucial. The source argues this isn't burnout from a lack of motivation. People are more than willing to work hard. The exhaustion comes from a lack of meaning. It comes from pouring every ounce of your energy into something you don't care about, just to survive.
So because of this new reality, our aspirations have been dramatically downsized. The big generational dream isn't about getting rich or becoming famous anymore. No, it's been simplified to something way more fundamental.
So what does enough even look like? Well, according to the source, it's the basics that previous generations just kind of took for granted. A modest house, a 2-car garage, maybe with a second fridge in it, Enough money so you're not in a constant state of anxiety. And maybe the most valuable thing of all, enough time to just think. That has become the new definition of wealth.
This all begs a pretty huge question. If so many people feel this way, why does the system just keep functioning like this? Well, the source suggests there might be a very deliberate reason for all this churn.
So the source proposes this sort of 3-step playbook for keeping the system exactly as it is. Step 1, keep people tired, because tired people don't have the energy to rebel. Step 2, keep them distracted with endless controversies that don't really matter. And Step 3, keep them divided, so they never look up and realize who the real problem might be.
Okay, so when you combine the broken promises, the deep exhaustion, and this nagging sense that the whole game is rigged, it all boils down to one incredibly powerful emotion. And it's not despair, it's anger.
For the longest time, the blame was turned inward.
We blame ourselves, right? We think, I must have done something wrong. I should have worked harder. I'm just behind. But what if that's the wrong question entirely? What if this isn't a personal failure at all?
And boom, there it is, the core argument. The source proposes this radical reframing of the entire situation. If you buy a product that's advertised to do one thing and it doesn't work, that's not your fault as the customer. That's fraud on the part of the seller.
And this isn't just blind rage. The source calls it clear mad. It's the kind of anger that only comes from a moment of pure clarity, when you finally see the system for what it truly is. It's not about wanting to break things. It's about breaking through the illusion.
And maybe this is the most crucial point of all. The anger isn't because life is hard. Life has always been hard. The anger comes from the fact that we were lied to, that these false promises were delivered with a smile, which somehow makes the betrayal sting that much more. So, this all leaves us with a pretty provocative thought to sit with. Once an entire generation starts to see its anger not as a personal failing, but as a moment of collective clarity, what do they do with that realization? The anger is clear, but the future? That's not.